Alright, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day number 138. So let's clean this up a little bit, review things. So for the recap on the eviction situation, May 26th was the N13 merits hearing, the first one. Next one is coming up on the October 8th. And once again, for the work we're going to do on this stream, we're going to work toward the next release of the terminal block mining simulation game. And in the days I've been working through the next video. I think I said yesterday I set my goal of get about 12, if I could get 12% done per day, then I'd be done in about 4 or 5 days. And today I got to 57%. So the next video is 57% complete. And as for the terminal block mining game, at this point I'm going to say the performance work is done. There were actually other performance things I was thinking about, but it's decently fast now. So I think it's time to step back and move on. So tonight we're going to just do some play testing, and we'll basically just try to find some bugs. And then the next goal will be to actually release version 0.08. And then this task will be completed. And then we'll step back and ponder and profit. Orthoplex 64, how's it going? Alright, game still loads. Help menu is nice and fast and smooth now and responsive. Map area is nice and fast to navigate. Yeah, I think that work took a long time, but it's worth it. The extra performance, I think, makes a massive difference in the playability of a game. And adding all that support for the transparency, I think it makes it way more intelligible. If when your player character is an actual smiley face instead of just a green square. You are a genius. Thank you. Have you received the funds? I've received some of them. I got I think I'd have to check the stats, but it's maybe probably around like $2,500 since I started the series. And now it's fast enough I can even make the map area bigger. It's not lagging either. Nice. So it's doing a lot of work as it initializes the map. My noise function is actually pretty expensive. I didn't really think much about it. I wanted to I figured I'd just go overboard and make it something with good to obtain really smooth noise. So I used SHA-256. Very good. 999 million, I guess. 997. Well, actually, it's so that would be 1 billion, but I'm looking for 12 billion, so it's a bit more than that. So put I guess 11 in front of that. Okay, that works. Let's run the tests again. There's some fast and high quality PRGs these days. Yeah, I could probably do some research. I mean, another thing would be actually there. Like I've said before, I'm almost not even that interested in building a game. I think you could probably build there would be interest in like a terrain generation sandbox where you can there's a nice interface for configuring the noise generator. I think that kind of exists basically in Minecraft. I don't know. I haven't actually tried that, but I've seen people in like some kind of world editor or something. You can use, I think they called it presets or something, where you can like specify strange parameters to the actual terrain generation and get like really all kinds of wacky worlds and stuff. Like there's a whole genre of that kind of thing. If we manage to raise $5 a stream, it'll only take 2.2 billion days. Inflation may hurt our odds, though. Yeah, inflation's going to be pretty rough. But I mean, what if there's deflation though? That'll make it easier. All right, the tests passed. That is a good thing. Let me think. I actually could. There is one piece of development that I was thinking about. And that is when the J and I fails. Now that fails, as I expected. What I'd like to do is make that a better experience. Writing code? What do you do for work? That's a complex question. Historically, I started a one-person software consulting contracting business about 10 years ago. I've been doing that ever since, and in the last few years, the contract work has dried up to nothing, and currently this year was the first year where most of my income has come from social media. Dominates the world, I imagine. Yep, that's the long-term plan. You couldn't find work as a contracting coder anymore because of AI? No, it's long before that. If you want the full story, watch my. Well, I can give you some short explanation, but basically, just like there's too much nonsense in the industry. Many years of just like terrible clients. And kept thinking like, okay, this is an isolated incident. Like the next client will be better. People don't pay, and people just have crazy ideas. And but yeah, I forgot that I mentioned that if you watch my how to become a 37-year-old broke loser video, that has the hour-long explanation with all the very specific examples and stuff. Personally, I think that most of the AI stuff, the rhetoric about AI causing layoffs in software development, I think it's mostly just kind of cover for a bad market, bad economy. I think that's mostly like a stock thing, because if you say we're laying people off because we're more efficient, your stock will go up. But if you say we're laying people off because the future looks bad and revenue's going down, then that's not good for your stock. I do think I think there's news about like graphic artists and stuff being laid off. I do think there's way more truth to that. I've said in chat before, software dev seems like a lose-lose. Some people say it's fine. Some people say the industry is currently bad. Some say it will never improve. Never improve. I mean, it could potentially be bad for quite a while. The economy is shifting in a lot of different ways. Like there's really been a lot of stuff at once. Like we're recovering from COVID. Companies overhired during COVID. Companies' revenue sources were different during COVID, so then they hired for that. There's also like obscure stuff like changes to the U.S. tax code that made it so you basically, which is kind of strange change. They made it so you basically had to like depreciate software engineering salaries. So for the most part, corporations are taxed on profits. So if you if someone who makes sandwiches at a restaurant or something, the salary is 100% deductible in the first year. But of course, if you buy equipment, like if you buy, fancy equipment or like a new machine or something like that, you have to depreciate it over multiple years. So you can't 100% claim it in the first year and that's one of the reasons they do that, is so you can't artificially lower your profits by just buying stuff and stocking up on inventory. But the fact that they did that for like the cost of labor of software is, I think, pretty unique. And I'm not sure how big of an impact it would have had, but it probably would have had a massive impact for larger companies. It would have made them, the immediate response would be to invest less in developing software. Then as interest rates went up higher, so all the venture capital money going into all these nonsense JavaScript framework startups, that went away. So that's another effect. What I think we're going to see is like the market is going to self-correct. So you can bet things spread fast on social media now. I think we have like record computer science people graduating now, because I guess COVID was a while ago now. So it was, the start of COVID, that's when we were kind of like at max hype for software engineering. Those people went in, a few years ago now. They're graduating today. There's going to be a ton of super depressed CS people graduating now. They're going to post all these videos like, CS is terrible, it's the worst thing ever. So 100% chance that there's going to be a massive drop in the number of CS enrollments over that'll probably accelerate. So then in another 4 years, the number of new grads will be at like cyclical lows. So it might be in 4 years, might be in 6, 7, 8 years. I guess you could look at the .com crash. I think it took at least like 10 years or so to recover after that. But software is too important in the future. So I think there's definitely going to be a continued need for that. I know image generation AIs have really changed the mobile games industry. Now the dev studios preferred higher prompt and artist engineers instead of actual artists. This is of course just my experience. Yeah, the I have not successfully really used AI for any coding task, but I have used especially because I make visual stuff on YouTube now. I've used AI image generation actually a lot. Most of my AI use has all been image generation, and I guess that's because there's a lot of times the AI generates an image and it's not quite good enough, but for something it's imprecise anyway, it's okay for it to be good enough. And there's other cases where you don't even need something that's considered good at all, like a piece of clip art. If you just want, instead of just having if you have a video on something where you're it's basically just you're talking about the audio of something. It's a voiceover, and you want to just zoom into some stock footage or something. It's much more interesting and engaging to actually show an example of, even like a cartoon drawing of something that you're talking about. And in that way, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think it's replacing artists, but there's a lot of I would say almost every single thing that I have used AI art for, if AI art did not exist, I would absolutely not at all have hired an artist to make that art, because I just can't It wouldn't economically, it wouldn't make sense. But if I can get it basically free from AI, makes a lot of sense. I'm in computer science right now. Can't code. Tech's so interesting. I don't even want to pivot to something different. No industry seems good right now. Yeah, I think I think the people who probably should stick with CS are the people who have that attitude, who like, they're like, this kind of sucks, but I'm actually still interested in it because it may, I guess depending on when you graduate, like there will be a recovery for sure, because like, you know, young people are not stupid. They're not gonna, and especially because information travels so fast now. So if there's a ton of people saying the CS market, like CS scam, it's terrible, it's bad, the more stuff like that that's out there, the more people there will be who don't enroll in it. And then we're going to see all these articles about like CS college goes bankrupt, has zero enrollment, everyone hates CS now, AI replaced all the coders, and then no one's going to enroll in it. And in a few years, companies will be looking to hire people, and there won't be any new grads. They'll be like, where'd they all go? It was so good a few years ago. All right. Gotta import that. That's dumb. Why doesn't it just print the exception? Oh, I need a message. Pretty sure that it is thrown. Oh, it's an unsatisfied link error when it bubbles up. Oh, that's not something I expected to see. It runs. All right, now what happens when I run this? Right, that'll at least improve the user experience of the error case. That's a bug. So it's whenever there's a really fast increase. It's missing some of the prints. And it's not really major. I probably won't fix that. Not right now anyway. So what's the short and long-term goals of the terminal mining game? The short-term goal is get to the next release version, and I think it was around probably day 80 of this series. I started working on. Actually, I've been working on it for the whole series, but I started working on massive refactoring changes to the screen updating process. So in order to facilitate adding new features, there was just a lot of technical debt that was built up with how the display worked. So it's built up as a system. It's like a generic frame system. So at the start, in the first version of this, like the frame and stuff like that was just like a fixed hard-coded offset. So it's just like move the cursor to this position and print something. But I've been going try to add a couple of features and make some, add some really unmaintainable code to add new features, and then refactor that, but without regressions to maintain the same functionality. So it currently has like a generic framing system, so I can move the frame right to left. I can resize the frame. And then one of the other things I added was the help menu and stuff. So the short-term goal is get the next release version, and then I plan to step back and ponder things a bit. I think if I continue working on this, one of the next things I'm going to add is probably like a user interface mechanism for like a selectable menu, and that's going to be, I'm going to build that at the same time as I build an additional. So I have a map area, I have an inventory area. That's really all it's just, this is the inventory. It's like the static list, and then if it goes off the screen, you can't see what else you have. I'm going to add the next feature will be recipes. So right now you can mine stuff and you can craft. So I can press the C key to craft. I'm crafting stone pickaxes to stockpile them. But currently the C key, what it does is it goes in your inventory and it inspects, do you have enough of the reagents to make to satisfy the recipe? And if you have there's only 3 recipes. It's to make a wood pickaxe, stone pickaxe, and iron pickaxe, and so it just checks. I think it first checks for. Actually, no, there's 4. So one is make metallic iron. But the problem is there's no way to select currently in the game which recipe you want. So if you've built up, I think a lot of iron, then it'll make the first recipe. But if you have the reagents for the first recipe, it doesn't allow you to make the reagents for any other recipes until you completely consume all of your iron. So there's no way to save it, which is a drawback. And I think the game's pretty boring with only those 3 recipes. So if I have a generic recipe system, there's a generic block system and a generic recipe system. I think you can add a decent amount of content with that. And then the next, I would say long-term major feature would be multiplayer, which a few people have requested. But that will take, if I implement that will take a lot of work to get that to be like production ready. Multiplayer is utterly necessary. Yeah, I agree. But then again, when I come back to reality, I'm like, that's so like technically, I already have like a multiplayer client, but that's basically a lie because it only it's multiplayer where multiple players control the same player, and you would not see you would not see another player moving past you. But what you would see is like you would see just like what you see here, but you would see like the other blocks disappearing, and you wouldn't know why. That's how it would behave. Yeah, there's a bunch of small things to do. I think individually that like I know how to do them, or at least I know how I will approach them. But it's easy to get overconfident and think, oh, this will be easy, and then you go to try and implement it, and you realize, oh, this is not going to work. How can I get better at network debugging? Know any resources or things to do to master the skill? It depends what you mean by network debugging. Do you mean like network software, or like figuring out? Do you mean like networking as in interacting with a application programming interface for networking, or kind of like network administrator, setting up the routers and firewalls and stuff? Game Dev Chad says, good evening. How's it going? Going very well. Excellent. How's the market doing right now? Before I came on, I saw that there's a bunch of jets and stuff that are scrambling in Poland, and there's apparently some incursions of multiple drones. I would have figured if I guess one way to tell if something crazy and unexpected is happening is look at the market. For infrastructure roles, I guess in that case you'd probably want to be good at both. You'd want to like be someone who I guess it depends how much you want to invest in it, but get good at taking like figuring out all the settings in your router and stuff. And get some experience with like the network admin side of things, like doing weird stuff. Static IPs, set some static IPs for your computer and have some problems with that, and DNS problems, and get yourself into lots of trouble with your screwing with router settings. And then also it'd be good to also have some programming, learn about some APIs. If you search for Beej's Guide to Network Programming, BEEJ, that's a famous tutorial on sockets programming. That's good for C programming. Then you can also try out like libraries like zero MQ, which was a Python library. I'm not sure if that's still, people still use that, or if it's replaced by something better, but that's used for like if you want to build a distributed system. Just a tiny dip, bought up instantly. Yeah, I'd like to know what those, that would be so interesting and revealing to know, like what kind of knowledge do those people have. I would have to imagine there's got to be people who are like probably trading stuff like that and actually have like insider access to people like in Russia to get information about what stocks to buy. Because apparently with the whole escalation with Iran, that was like, I heard some people talking about their analysis of the oil markets, and they said that the oil markets predicted that it was just like a performative, which in hindsight, I guess so far anyway, it basically has been. Let's see, I should probably test more things. I want to see what that error was. That warning that flashed. There we go. stuck in a brain loop. It's unfortunate. Oracle had its best day in 26 years on earnings with their AI infrastructure growth. As it's going to tech in perma bull mode. Yeah, I think Oracle's Oracle is the preferred choice for the U.S. government, and I think with all the escalations, it probably bodes well for their bottom line. Everything is going to be risk on. Yeah, I mean, if we there's certainly a lot of work to be done in defense and also AI. I mean, and the intersection of those two things. It still compiles. Oh, it's probably failing to build this, but it's already built, so it doesn't complain. Is it worth it? Maybe I'll just not have that. Tech companies are claiming 30% increased productivity due to AI. So if that holds, that is likely to boost stocks and hurt jobs even more. Earnings per share all-time highs. Yeah, it's hard to quantify, I think, the benefits of AI in certain areas. Like I was saying before, with stuff like image generation. Personally, I've used it. I used AI for image generation so much more than writing code. Just because, like for code, it has to be something specific. Like, well, I guess there are cases where I guess I could see you. Like Coinbase apparently said they're currently generating like 60% of their code with AI now, and they want to, or like 60 or 50 or something, some significant percent. And I thought, like, how could that be possible? But I could see that if you counted by lines, and the things they were generating were like if you have to just add a page to a website or something, and you have to like, there's some, it ends up being like copy and paste this router file, or like a view or something, where it's like if you do it like by percentage of lines written, and then those lines written are like the front end HTML, because like you could, I think AI would be very good at generating like HTML documents that present stuff, because the likelihood that if you generate a random HTML file, the likelihood that you're going to get something, approximating what you want is probably pretty high. And if it has errors, if it's like broken tags and stuff like that, the browser will usually handle that or come up with some interpretation. And when it comes to like the back-end code, I mean, it's kind of scary. The Coinbase would say that, because like the security handling code, that's like the last place that I would want AI generating code that has to be secure. Man, that's so awesome that this works after all that time. I think the AI situation is more or less a bubble right now. Not to say AI isn't useful. Yeah, I mean, it's I guess saying it's a bubble is almost not even there's really not a lot you can, if you do conclude that yes, in fact, it's a bubble, there's not a lot you can do with that information alone. I think the way it basically works with any new technology is, when you think about it from the perspective of people who fund it, the people with the money and the capital, like engineers will come to them and say like, hey, we have this cool idea for AI and all this stuff. We just need you to give us millions of dollars, and it'll increase productivity, and I'll do all this stuff. It'll be amazing, and it'll make you money. And the money people are like, I don't know. And then the engineers do some demos and convince them, and then the money people get excited, and they're like, all right, we'll fund this. And if you're a software developer or like an engineer, it's easy to get stuck in the mindset like, oh, this money will come forever. But at some point, the chickens come home to roost, and it ultimately, in the first year or two, the money people do not know one way or another if they're going to keep funding it, and whether they do or not is completely dependent on, are they getting good numbers out of it, or is there good ROI? And where there isn't, there's going to be lots of sad AI engineers who the plug will be pulled on them if it's not manifesting in real gains, and that won't be known. That won't be known for like a year or two in every place where this investment is getting made. I could see a much higher return on an AI product that does like art versus one that does like coding for well, I guess maybe the fronting case you could do something pretty impressive, but I think the biggest wins would be any kind of creative endeavor where the output can be like wrong and still useful. Till then, the market is climbing a wall of worry. It just melts up. A lot of AI is baloney, fluff. Yeah, it's I actually signed up for ChatGPT subscription, and I have been using it. I've been kind of slowly using it a bit more and more over time. Message got blocked. Huh. AI is hardly being used. More bears than bulls in the market. I think it's a bubble when the bears are all gone. That's really interesting. That I'm becoming increasingly interested in the types of messages that get censored. Valuations of AI startups are bananas. I think the biggest sign. Meta bought 49% of scale for $15 billion. Founders 28. Yeah, I wish I could get some big buyouts like that. Although I don't know. I don't think I could sell the block mining game for any less than 12 billion. What made you go with paying for OpenAI instead of Anthropic? I've never even... Maybe I've heard of Anthropic. I don't know. It doesn't ring a bell. Put AI in it and it goes to 12 billion. Yeah, I mean, that would be an interesting feature to I thought about like if I ever implemented like 3D sprites and stuff, you could just like you could hook it right into the ChatGPT AI, and then like within the game itself, you could like reskin the blocks and stuff. Large language miner. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can. That could be the next pitch to get some more funding. Something to do with spreadsheets or retro games. Wish I had more free time to explore this with AI. Yeah, I think the idea of that's I guess what attracted me to such like a simplistic model of a game. Because then when you have ideas, you can implement them a bit faster. Except when you take how much was that? I think it was around day 80, so 58 days to implement screen layer merging. Good night. Have a good night. Oh, I never checked for memory leaks. I guess I'll just see if it gets slow as I play it. That makes it pretty laggy. Still works though. Let's see, what should I test? I think it works pretty good now. Just need more content. I've thought about making some changes to the ore generation too. I think one of the next things I'll do to raise some revenue is invite more people to sponsor block types. And eventually I'll probably, if I end up including like hundreds or thousands of ore types, I'm gonna have to have a better algorithm to distribute them. What crafting recipes I was thinking about adding in the future? That's a good question. I think initially I'll probably focus the game like people have suggested in millions of random ideas, like adding puppies and things and stuff. But I'll probably try to keep it focused specifically on mining. Because I think that I think there's a decent number of people who would just be interested in like the simulation process of mining. Like there's tons of if you search on YouTube for like gold, people who pan gold and stuff. I think that's all like that's a very primal thing, is to mine stuff. And when we find like rocks of malachite and stuff, they were finding that and carving it into stuff thousands of years ago. And I think it could be some focus around like rare earth mining and stuff. So probably I'd maybe make some like production rules around I guess just like processing the ores and stuff. So I guess I could, like right now, to make metallic iron, you just use wood and I think like wood and iron oxide. But to make it more accurate, it would maybe make sense to add some lime. I think actually the cast number for the rocks is lime. It's limestone. So that would and then it would make sense to go through like be a bit more careful, be a bit more accurate in like the stoichiometric calculation of how much lime you need, and maybe there'd be a step 2 to make to process the wooden blocks into charcoal first, and then just kind of break it down to slowly make aspects of it more and more of an accurate simulation. Yeah, here's an example of how my crafting recipe system needs work. I got some wooden blocks and some stone, and I want more stone pickaxe, but I have to use up all the iron oxide first. But I have 200. So what I can do, I can switch to this, then use those pickaxes. You know, a few people, including myself, who enjoy collecting harder and harder to collect ores in mining simulation games. Is there are there many other mining simulation games? I guess as I said that, I thought about like back to my World of Warcraft days. There used to be a mining skill, which I leveled it up to 300. Yeah, like a lot of games have like fantasy elements and stuff, like mythical elements, like netherite and stuff. I'd be interested in just like incrementally improving the simulation to get to, like, you know, as it goes, just make it more and more closer to reality. Because there's a lot to mining. Mining's complicated. And there's, I guess, possibility for adding like all sorts of different geologies and stuff, and different terrain generation and whatnot. I'd probably just focus everything on like completely like inorganic, like peaceful mode, I guess you would call it. At least for now. There's lots of stuff that you can imagine, but it all takes time and money to implement. Lots of Minecraft mods. Roblox games are focused on mining, though they rarely close to realistic. A few Steam games about digging mining. Interesting. Yeah, I guess I'm honestly I'm totally out of the loop. I've never played Roblox before. I've never used Steam before. That's cool. I didn't know that there were. I guess like Minecraft is the main one, but the fact that there's other stuff in that genre is good. So I guess what I need to do is test more stuff. Oh yeah, the compatibility with that feature I worked so much on. Alright, this is the compatibility with mode. So if you run this on a terminal and it doesn't work right, then you can use this mode. And you can specify the assumed width of columns. So this will set it. This assumes every non-ASCII character is two columns wide. Oh, interesting. That does have some glitches. The inventory area is not correctly updating. Heading out. Have a great night. Have a good night. Unfortunately, the screen output is messed up, and I don't know any clear way to fix it. It seems to randomly, sometimes, like I don't change anything about the setup, and sometimes when I go to the PRTTY, it'll do that thing where it's small, so it's only taking up like half of the area, and then sometimes it'll actually fill up the whole thing. It looks fine for me, but for you guys, it looks all squished. Not sure why that is. But I'll just do some quick testing. This is another area where it illustrates why I need a better menu item. When and if I do the recipe thing, one of the first things I'm going to do is have a better. So if I go like down to inventory, you can only select 4 items, but you can't see anything, and there's no way to scroll. So it's not the greatest user interface. All right, that view works. Why use Maven to build your game? I gotta use something, and I guess Maven was what I was familiar with, and I guess the alternative is like Ansible, but I don't know that one. I think that's the main competitor. Actually, I don't even know of any other competing build systems. Maven seems to be like the one that most people use. I thought Ansible was for setting up servers. Maybe I'm wrong. Or no, maybe it's something that starts with a G. I don't know. What do you know of the alternatives to Maven? That's Ant. Oh, yeah, Gradle. That's the one. Yeah, I don't know anything about Gradle. Never used it, and I guess every single time I've ever had to take over a project that was a Java thing, I've just never had to learn Gradle because everything always used Maven. I think I used Ansible for mass deployment once. Yeah, I guess Ansible's something different. I don't know anything about it. let's try this out in screen. All right, it works. So the feature detection doesn't exactly work great. If you run it in tmux, I think it just checks the term variable and says, and I think it searches for the string x term, and if that doesn't, it doesn't appear in tmux for whatever reason, or this version of it. So but you can explicitly say use emojis, and then it'll use emojis, and it's broken. Look at that. Yeah, I think this was kind of a buggy version of tmux. It doesn't properly support multi-column characters. But oh yeah, that's why I can do compatibility with 2. 3. Nope. Still messed up. Well, it's like it's almost playable. It's on narrow width. All right, I guess I'll just have to live with that for now. I think it works all right on the newest version. Well, I think that's pretty. It's pretty solid. Yeah, I think that's probably good enough. I'm at the point of diminishing returns for making it more robust. Well, maybe I'll call it a night a little bit early tonight. And then I'll do a bit of work off stream to start actually getting the. I gotta copy around a bunch of files and stuff like that. And then I can officially release version 0.0.8. And then after that, I'm gonna stop developing on this for a while, and I have no plans for what to do. But I guess I'll keep coming on and keep streaming. And the next focus is, oh yeah, we got rent eviction hearing coming up on the 6th, but that's not too much to worry about. And then I got a video to finish. I gotta grind through that, get that out. It was a Craigslist job, just following orders from the more experienced in my time. Leaving already? Yeah, I think I'll call it a night now. And then I'll be back tomorrow. I have no idea what I will do for the stream. That's interesting. A programming job from Craigslist? I guess there probably are some programming jobs in there. All right, that's a wrap. See you guys tomorrow for day 139. Later.